So I got the rubbish films out of the way, I did my top 10 worst list of 2018, now it's time for the good list, the top 10 best of 2018. Typical disclaimers: if you're just here for validation for your list and you want to see your favourite films on this list and you're going to complain when your films aren't on this list, go away, can't be bothered with you. I haven't seen every single film that came out in 2018. Basically, if you're not a sado and you understand subjectivity, different opinions and different tastes in film, you're welcome to stay and hopefully enjoy. But before I get into the top 10, just like my worst list, I do have some honourable mentions, films that I really enjoyed that just missed the list. First one being Hereditary, a horror film that I really liked, mainly because it was more of a drama than a full-on horror film, but it was a really well done drama film. Searching, a really good late summer surprise, really good, effective, realistic thriller. This one might rustle some feathers, but Roma is an honourable mention. Like I said in my video, I really appreciated the filmmaking, the directing, the craft on display in this film was impeccable, it was amazing, but it's just not one of my favourite films of 2018. I don't see myself rushing to rewatch Roma anytime soon, if ever again. But again, I still appreciate it, hence why it's an honourable mention for the best of the year. Film Twitter's going to crucify me for not putting this on the list, but I did really like Widows. It was a really good drama, it was really well acted, really good heist film, just missed the list though. And the last honourable mention, this one pains me to not put it in, I tried to get it in there, but I really enjoyed Bumblebee, a Transformers film that I really enjoyed, and I walked out wanting to see more Transformers films. That's worthy of mention in a best list, but I just couldn't quite squeeze it into the list. So honourable mentions mentioned, let's get into my top 10 favourite films of 2018, starting off of course with number 10. This is a film that I guess people don't like anymore because I've seen it on a couple of worst of the year lists, and I'm just like, what? Really? Ready Player One? I thought it was awesome. I love the concept of the Oasis, the virtual world, people going in, taking the form of their avatars. I loved all the Easter eggs and all the references to various things in pop culture, and sometimes they even used the pop culture references to tell the story, like the whole Shining sequence, that was really fun. But Ready Player One really understood why we love pop culture, because we use it as a means to escape the crappy realities of the world, which they illustrated really well with a dystopian future in the film, giving the characters in the film a bigger reason to escape the crappy realities of their world. And it was a really fun adventure. I had a lot of fun with Ready Player One, and I don't get the sudden dislike for it, so it gets my number 10 spot. Number 9 is Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's kind of similar to Ready Player One with an adventure taking place in the representation of an online digital space, but I really love this film's portrayal on the internet and how it pokes fun at some of the things we know about the internet, like online gaming and social media, how rubbish and cringy things become popular on the internet. But amongst all that fun stuff, it kept Ralph and Penelope's friendship front and centre, and it had some really good exploration about friendship and some good messages about friendship, and I really appreciated that. And towards the end, it kind of hit me where I live a little bit. I wasn't expecting that from Ralph Breaks the Internet, but I got it. Creed 2 is a really solid follow-up to Creed 1. I think Creed 1 might have a leg up in the filmmaking. Ryan Coogler did a great job directing that film. But honestly, Creed 2 might be a more emotionally satisfying film than Creed 1 for me. The emotional weight of the story and the characters and their struggles really lifted that film out of the familiarity of the boxing movie formula, which the film is predictable, you know where it's going to go. But because I was so invested in Adonis Creed and him trying to fight for his family legacy, I was just rooting for him throughout the entire thing. Plus it humanised the Dragos, they weren't just cut and dry villains. And by the time you get to that final boxing match, you're so into it, you're so invested to the part where you start getting giddy at a couple of parts, and you start like punching the air when things start going the way of certain characters. It was really enjoyable. Creed 2 might be one of my favourite boxing films of all time. And one of the reasons why Ryan Coogler didn't come back for Creed 2 was because he was busy making one of the best films of the MCU so far in Black Panther. Minus some of the CGI, I loved pretty much everything about Black Panther. The spirituality of Wakanda was really resonating, the music was great, all the acting was really good, some of the best performances of the MCU so far, I think. Eric Killmonger, one of the best villains of the MCU with clear-cut motivations, to the part where you sort of don't see him as a villain, just a guy with a motivation, but it's just kind of clashing with everybody else's, making it a really investing film, one of the more captivating MCUs from a narrative perspective. And of course the social importance and significance of the film cannot be understated either. I really enjoy Black Panther a lot. It might be on track to get a Best Picture nomination at the Oscars. I hope so. Just see a comic book film get nominated for Best Picture, I would be so incredibly thrilled, because it's a really awesome film and it gets my number 7. Next up we have the best romance film of the year. There we go. A Star is Born was a really damn good film. The central relationship between Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga was really good. You really get invested into them as a couple. Bradley Cooper was amazing in the film. Lady Gaga, a complete revelation. One of the best singer-turned-actress performances I've ever seen. It's a great portrayal of romance, a rise to superstardom, and a fall from superstardom. It gave me the feels, and it gave me goosebumps once or twice, especially the song Shallow, which I'm hoping gets the Best Original Song Oscar because it's a great damn song. It's not very often that a film makes me feel like a kid again, but Mary Poppins Returns absolutely did. This was such a delightful film to watch, not just because of how feel good it is with the characters and the messages, but because of how old-fashioned it was. I love films that just go back to the old ways of doing things in terms of tone, like La La Land. I love La La Land because it felt like an old-school Hollywood musical, and I love Mary Poppins Returns because it feels like an old-school style Disney musical. Emily Blunt was just perfect as Mary Poppins. I'm really hoping the Academy considers her for a Best Actress nomination. The music was great. The choreography of the dance music sequences was also great. Pretty much everything about Mary Poppins Returns I really enjoyed. Was it a little bit similar to the first one? Yeah, but for me it didn't become a rehash of the first one. I still felt the magic, good old-fashioned Disney magic, Mary Poppins magic. Mary Poppins Returns gets my number 5 spot, no question. This film has been unfortunately absent from a lot of awards nominations and a lot of best of year lists that I've seen, but Damien Chazelle continues to impress the living hell out of me with First Man. It's actually kind of surprising that a biopic about Neil Armstrong took this long to get to the big screen, but it was worth the wait. I found it to be a really interesting take on the mission to get to the moon, and a surprisingly personal take as well. I was expecting this film to be all about the science with NASA and them trying to figure out propulsion and getting to the moon, but it really concentrated mostly on Neil Armstrong and how he's reacting to it, how his family's reacting to it. I didn't find Neil Armstrong to be just a boring guy like some people have said, and those space shuttle launch sequences is some of the most intense stuff that I've seen on the big screen all year. First Man was mostly a complete triumph for me. There were some pacing issues towards the start, but I enjoyed the living hell out of it, and I'm just sad that it's not on more best of the year list and it's not getting nominated for more stuff. Oscars, don't let me down. Give it some love. Every year there's a surprise film that I never expected to make my top 10 list, and this year it's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This film started out when I first saw it about number 9 or number 8 on the list. I saw the film again for a second time. I liked it even more the second time, and the more I thought about it, the more I started to really love the hell out of this thing, and now it's crept all the way to number 3. This film was just bonkers. It was the animation was just incredibly insane. I love the story of Miles Morales. It was really touching, the story of Miles Morales. And this film, like I said in my video, was just a wonderful celebration of Spider-Man and the Spider-Man history, the Spider-Man legacy, what it means to be Spider-Man. Anybody can be Spider-Man behind the mask. I love the messages of the film in that aspect. The humor was great. Nicolas Cage as Spider-Noir was awesome. Spider-Gwen was great. I love the new Peter Parker. Pretty much almost everything about this film was really great. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse way more than I ever thought I ever was going to, because when they first announced it, an animated Spider-Man film, was like, really? I was expecting like Despicable Me, but with Spider-Man, I don't know why, but the film came out and just blew me the hell away, and it's my number 3. Really just, it blows my mind that that film is so high on my list, but it's great. Into the Spider-Verse. Number 2 is a film that I just rewatched the other night on Blu-ray because I got it on Blu-ray for Christmas, and I'm pretty much still riding the adrenaline high that is Mission Impossible Fallout. I love this film even more the second time, and I loved it the first time I saw it in cinemas. Like I said, complete adrenaline rush. This is one of the best action films I've ever seen, and I think it's a masterpiece of the action genre. This is how action films should be done. Completely in camera, 100% stunt work. There's some CGI in the film obviously, but that's actually Tom Cruise flying a helicopter through the mountains. That's actually Tom Cruise running across the rooftops of London and snapping his foot when he's trying to do a big jump over a big precipice. This film just blows me away the more I think about it, with the filmmaking, the just level of passion put into the action sequences, the intensity of the story. It was amazing. I just adore this film. Best Mission Impossible film, one of the best action films ever made, definitely one of the best action films of the decade. Just Mission Impossible Fallout, man, it's just a complete cinema-going package of adrenaline-fueled awesomeness. Here we are guys, my number 1 favourite film of 2018. If you're a regular watcher of mine, this is going to be of no surprise to any of you. But I gotta be honest, out of all the films I saw of 2018, no film gave me a more fulfilling cinematic experience than Avengers Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War is a film that could have easily have been a complete disaster. So many characters, so many franchises, and so many storylines coming together in one film. Under the wrong director, it could have been a complete mess. It could have been jumbled and messy as hell. Could have been a complete disaster. But it's the Russo brothers. These guys, they just pulled off the impossible with this film. All these different characters, storylines, and tones meshed together, and it didn't feel rushed, it didn't feel choppy, it didn't feel unfocused, it felt completely balanced, as all things should be, as Thanos says. And I loved it. I love seeing all these characters come together, the Guardians meeting like Iron Man and Spider-Man, and the action scenes were just pulse-pounding, epic excitement. I mean, Mission Impossible had amazing action scenes, amazing practical stuff, but the action battle sequences in Infinity War is just the most exciting stuff I've seen all year, because I'm so invested in the MCU at this point, and this big massive 10-year journey that has been the MCU is that just these action scenes, again, seeing those characters come together and seeing the story lead to this was just so fulfilling to me on pretty much every single level. This is what big blockbuster films should strive to be. Not just exciting and action-packed and epic and awesome, but also have emotion and good characters and stuff you actually care about. It was a complete great cinematic blockbuster package. I loved it. I've seen it multiple times. I saw it 3 times in the cinema. I've never done that. I've seen a few films twice, but Infinity War I saw 3 times. That should tell you all you need to know. Infinity War is easily my #1 film of 2018. And that concludes my top 10 favourite films of 2018 video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't lose too many of you along the way. But yeah, those were 10 films I enjoyed the most. I thought 2018 was a pretty disappointing year in bits and pieces, but looking at the top 10 list, I'm like, nah, it was a pretty good year actually. I really enjoyed all those films, and I like the top 10 list personally. There's going to be some people like, blockbuster films, but screw off. These are my favourite films. I'm sticking to this list. I like it. So I guess that concludes 2018 then, and I suppose there's nothing more to say but to say thanks to you guys for continuing to watching me, continue to comment, continue to support, continue to talk films with me on YouTube. You guys are awesome. Thanks for another good year on YouTube. Here's to a great, awesome 2019. Look out for the most anticipated films of 2019 video, by the way. But of course, I would like to know, what are your guys' favourite films of 2018? Tell me in the comments below. And if you want to see more of my stuff, click on one of these, and I'll see you all next time.